All right, we should be live. I'm going to make sure we have an audio. I like to use these external mics. And we'll give this just a second. Got a few minutes before we start to pile up. Yo, yo, yo. All right, sounds like that's working.
Yo, yo, yo.
Cool. All right, hey everyone. Now we'll give this just a few more minutes. I'm gonna stand here and look pretty for y'all. While we're waiting, I got my son in the background here, Conan. Conan, what are you doing, bud? That's my Dutch Shepherd. I had a German Shepherd that passed away last year, and it was heartbreaking. That's the closest thing I've ever had to a kid, and it was so great because my community here locally pitched in, and they all bought me a new dog, and he's a million times better than, I mean, the last guy was like amazing, and he's just like 10 times the other dog. So he's definitely our community mascot here, you know, with the people that I work with, but also at the CrossFit gym that I coach at. So it's just, he's great. Got just a few more minutes here. I hope I'm doing this right. Coming on just a little early to make sure we have time for people to get on. Remember, if you have questions, you can post them in the comments, and I'll try to address them towards the end of the talk. And we'll get started here in just about a couple minutes. Loving life. Absolutely loving life. I'm hoping that shines through me today because I am in love with life. I really am. This path that I'm on, I hope to communicate that well. Today as I'm going through this, this path has completely changed my life. NTA was a big part of that, you know, early on. Maybe I got some friends out there watching. I don't know. And I do like, if you see me looking at some notes here and there, I do like to look at notes just so I keep myself on track, because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about today. All right, here we go. We're about to start. What's great about these Facebook Live videos is you can always come back and watch the rest of it. And so, get my notes here. All right, so my name is Paul C. Tijerina. I'm a local holistic nutritional therapist and life coach, atavistic life coach here out of Las Vegas, Nevada. There's a bunch of other stuff that I do. I'm a barefoot runner. Used to be a barefoot runner. I'm a barefoot walker now, but I'm big into minimalistic type stuff. I'm a CrossFit addict. And I am living the dream. Like, I really am. Like, I live here in Vegas. I've been here since 2011. The NTA is kind of what brought me here. I did their distance course back then. And it's just the most amazing journey I could ever, I couldn't have dreamed something as great as what I'm going through right now. I feel amazing. Like, I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life, and I can say that almost every day. Like, every day gets better. The more that I experiment with this stuff, the more that I teach others, the better I feel, and the more amazing I feel, and the more contagious I get with it, because I just want to share that message with other people. And this journey can be absolutely beautiful, and I know that most of you already understand that and know that, because once you figure out your health and once you start to feel better, like, everything else in your life changes. It makes life amazing because even the most difficult situations would have completely derailed you in the past. Having that vibrancy and that vitality and being able to deal with those things and experience them on a level of feeling good is just completely different. You know, it's completely changed my life. And you know, we're in such an amazing time right now. You know, when I started doing talks, I went through my NTA course back in 2011, 2012. I think I graduated early 2012 or something like that. And I remember when I went out starting to do talks and working with clients and things, like no one knew what a GMO was. I had to do a presentation on GMOs. Not many people had heard of the term organic. And of course back then, like fat and butter and everything was just like, people thought I was absolutely crazy recommending that they do the stuff that we recommend they do. And we're in some exciting times now because there's such an awareness for real food and holistic health and personal empowerment. And you know, now when I do talks, I'm not having to do all these, you know, preface explanations of all these different terms and things. And so it's just an amazing time as an individual to take power for your own health, and then also as someone, as a practitioner or someone out there trying to change other people's lives. It's just a great time to be doing what we're doing right now. And just think about how powerful it is to change your own personal health and how that changes your outlook on life, and then being able to take that message to other people. And everyone has a different journey down this path. You know, like I'm in touch with a lot of different practitioners on a regular basis, and of course I learn from a lot of different practitioners. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Nobody's ever copied anybody because everybody has their own personality. So it's just a great time to be a part of all this stuff. So I have some bonus material that I'd like to share with everybody, and I'll post a link to this in the notes when I get finished, and it's going to be from my website, paulctijerina.com/NTA-live, NTA-live, and I'm going to give you guys for free my Tapping into the Workplace presentation that I did for my NTA class back in 2012, along with some notes, because I truly feel like the group is an untapped market, and I think that'll be extremely beneficial for any of you practitioners out there trying to make things work. So let me start out by just giving you my personal story. So, you know, I started out like most people, probably not doing the right things. I got most of my information from things like Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine. You know, in my early 20s, of course, I was always lean. It didn't matter what I ate. I ate McDonald's and Taco Bell, but I also tried to do the right thing based on those magazines. So big into protein powders and bars and shakes. I got into the bodybuilding community, and I thought I was pretty darn healthy. I'm an Army veteran, so I served for a couple of years as an enlisted infantry soldier, and then I went to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and was a commissioned officer for a few years. So I felt like I understood health and fitness and nutrition, and so I went in for my first checkup since being out of the military, and this was around 2007 or 2000 something like that, 2006, 7, 8. Can't remember what it was, 2006 or 8. And when I went in for this checkup, I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life. I was 260, 270 pounds. I had high blood pressure, so I was put on blood pressure meds. I was pre-diabetic, so I was put on metformin. I took Zantac almost every day for indigestion. I took Claritin every day for allergies, sometimes a decongestant. Had horrible IBS symptoms, and you know, all the classic symptoms that we see from all our clients all the time. You know, I was tired all the time. I couldn't focus. I had brain fog. Didn't sleep well, and you know, I was a wreck. And you know, going in for this official checkup and getting these markers measured was a huge wake-up call for me, because I thought that I was doing the right thing. And I followed conventional wisdom's view of what we need to do to be healthy: low fat and whole grains and lots of complex carbohydrates and all that BS. And that's where it landed me. So that's kind of what set me on this path to try to figure stuff out. And the first place that I turned to, which I think I know a lot of us have probably had this experience, I went vegan for a little bit, you know, because I felt like meat and fat were the problem. And of course, you know, initially transitioning to vegan, I felt better. I lost some weight and had better energy levels and some other things. But then at the end of my vegan stint, I started to develop some significant digestive issues. And you know, we should all know by now that if you switch from standard American way of eating to a vegan way of eating, vegan is a subset of real food, so you're going to feel a little bit better. But that wasn't the whole story. And then luckily back then, see, this was before paleo and primal and all that got any notoriety whatsoever. I was actually in touch with Rob Wolf, emailing him back and forth with some questions that I had, and he had either just come out with this Paleo Solution book or was just about to. But luckily, you know, because I've always had this fascination with evolution and dinosaurs and Indiana Jones and that kind of stuff, when I was sitting at the end of that vegan stint, you know, I thought to myself, like, what is it that we're supposed to do and be and eat and all that kind of stuff. I started asking questions like, how are we supposed to eat? How are we supposed to live? Were our ancestors always like this? Were there things that we used to do that we stopped doing that were healthy, or were there things that we do now that are unhealthy? Obviously the answer to those questions is yes. So just out of curiosity, I took an evolutionary biology course and anthropology course in college, and then things became pretty clear, and I started to stumble across things like the paleo diet, Dr. Lauren Cordain, Boyd Eaton, some papers they had written. Who was another guy? Art Devaney, and then also stumbled into Mark Sisson's information, and then the Weston A. Price Foundation I absolutely fell in love with. And so with that information, I just completely turned my health around, and obviously there's so much more to learn from there, but that was the beginning of everything. And when I got to a point to where I felt so amazing and I started to see all these different transitions, I couldn't help but work with friends and family members. And then the natural progression from that was to try to figure out how to bring this to other people. And so I started to look for certifications, and that's how I found the NTA. It was one of the few ones out there that aligned with the methodologies that I knew to be true. And I loved that they advertised, that they had the Weston A. Price Foundation as one of their, things that they learned from, or methodologies. So that was a relief finding something like that, because I think the only other things I couldn't find anything else, to be honest with you. So today I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life. And that is the truth. Like, I perform better. Like, I'm a CrossFit addict. I'm stronger than I was in my 20s. My performance is better than it was in my 20s. My conditioning, my flexibility, my mobility, my physiological markers that I measure, which I don't measure a bunch of those anymore, but when I did do my cholesterol measurements and glucose sensitivity and insulin sensitivity, like, everything is better than it's ever been in my entire life. Blood pressure better than it ever has been. I measure my glucose most days, and relatively ketogenic here and there, but I just feel better and perform better, and everything about me is better than it's ever been in my entire life. And now I've ventured off into building a private practice, and in that private practice I work with individuals, and then I've also gotten big into the group environment. So I'm huge into doing seminars and group talks and kind of corporate type accounts, and then we have some progressions, like some group programs that we've put into place that have just been amazing. And I think the group market is a really untapped market for a lot of people, especially practitioners that are trying to make a business out of it but are kind of timid and shy and have a hard time getting in front of people. Just understanding that groups are where it's at. You get to, with the same message, you can impact 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 people, however many you might have access to at that point in time. So I've cultivated a private practice where I work with individuals. I always do that. And then I've cultivated this kind of group mentality. And then we focus not just on nutrition. So we have what we call our foundations for health, and that would include holistic, real food. We also incorporate essential oils. We're big into doTERRA. And then also functional fitness. I'm a CrossFit addict, but any functional fitness modality that fits someone. Not everyone's made for CrossFit. Actually, I think everybody should do CrossFit, but if you find the right gym. But it's not for everybody. And then also setting circadian rhythms, grounding and being outdoors. We're huge into meditation and mindfulness. And then we also really try to cultivate this sense of community and social connection. And I think we're doing a pretty good job here locally in Las Vegas, but I know that we can do better. So every day when I get up, my focus is thinking about what kind of content can I put together to put out. What can I do to bring new people into our movement, and then what can I do to support the people that we've already worked with, because we have a ton of people that we work with that are just constantly on my mind that I know need the ongoing support and everything else. So that's kind of a little bit about my personal story. If you have any other questions on that, I can elaborate just a little bit more, and I'm going to get to some of the questions that the NTA wanted me to actually cover here. So how I found the NTA, I already covered that. It was one of the few certifications I could find online that actually aligned with our methodologies, and the conference calls that we had associated with it where we could answer questions and ask questions were great. Like, I loved it. I'm pretty sure the NTA offers programs in different places. I might have that as some website links here in just a moment. My experience with the program, before beginning the NTA program, I actually went through the NTP program, so I learned the functional evaluation. Before beginning that, I had pretty much read everything I could find on, paleo, primal, Weston A. Price type stuff, which back then wasn't anywhere near as much information as is available right now. So I felt like I had a pretty solid understanding of nutrition, but when I came into it, Gray's way of explaining the foundations and getting into the science of it and using anatomy and physiology, of course we had to learn that because of the functional evaluation, but it just gave you a lot more of a science background to this stuff that that supported what we knew to be true. What I really loved about it was the structure that it gave you for working with clients and work with individuals. So, you know, there's a huge emphasis on coaching and working with clients, but then also on the evaluations piece. So they helped you with forms, they helped you with the consultation process. Of course, most of us are familiar with the functional evaluation. I absolutely loved it and used it a lot in my early days. And then also the symptom analysis. So the symptom analysis is a questionnaire that you can send out, and you can have clients answer that multiple times to see, so that they can get a visual representation of where they stand symptomatically and see their progress. And there's a bunch of other reports that you can get from that. Love the functional evaluation. I love the community that we built. So if any of you guys from my class are out there, love you guys so much. That was such a great experience. I have a couple of friends in there that I stay in contact with now, several actually. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be today, because like we're constantly on the phone and brainstorming and throwing ideas back and forth. Renee, Susan, Wendy, like I love you guys to death. I remember with Renee, one of my classmates, the first manual that I put together was 4 pages long. And I sent it to him in PDF, and he was like, oh, you know, we were always one-upping each other, so he had to put together a manual. Now, here's our manual for the progression that we have coming up, and I mean, this thing is thick. You know, it's almost like a book. I need to write a book here soon. So, so anyway, having that camaraderie and community and stuff was really, really great. So, and then learning the functional evaluation and all the different evaluation techniques was just, you know, it was a game changer for me. So, move on to the next question here. So I attended in the Las Vegas distance learning course. And the Las Vegas distance learning course, let me just change this a little bit here. There we go. All right, so the Las Vegas distance learning course, I didn't know it was a distance course. I thought I had to move here, so I moved here. I house sitted for a buddy of mine, and ended up taking the course here, but it was great. And then I'm pretty sure there's courses. You can go to nutritionaltherapy.com. There's courses in Australia, ntaaustralia.com.au, and you can find a bunch of different resources there. So obviously what the NTA has meant to my health and my family's health, well, like I said, the NTA gave me a foundation from which I could work with people on. You know, I was already committed to this new path that I was on and learning as much as I could and experimenting as much as I could. But the NTA gave me some solid science, some solid learning, a solid and proven way to work with people. It gave me my beginnings in that. Of course, you know, most of you, if you end up being practitioners, you're going to see that you're going to find your own way and blaze your own way, and that's part of the excitement of this journey, is just trying to figure stuff out on your own and come up with your own processes. But it gives you a template, a really, really good starting point from which you can do that and build on, and I'm so thankful for it. So how the NTA impacted my career, well, like I said, it gave me a really good starting place to work with people, and from there, like, I branched out into all kinds of different things. You know, my big thing in the beginning was not just trying to get private clients. It was like, how am I going to get private clients? How am I going to get my name out there and get some exposure? So I ended up reaching out to every place I could think of locally. I reached out to Whole Foods and built a really good relationship with the operations manager there and ended up doing talks. I reached out to a lot of mind, body, spirit centers that I thought might be receptive to my message, and it was great because it gave me a lot of initial exposure. And then from there, I started developing group programs and doing group challenges and things, and it's just been such a great experience. Most commonly asked questions, client and clinical questions, that's a really hard one because everybody's different. You know, I mean, everyone comes in with the same symptoms: low energy levels, body composition issues, poor sleep patterns, skin issues, digestive issues. You know, so addressing the foundations that you learn in the NTA, usually most people see tremendous results just from getting all that stuff straight. I don't know that I have any really top questions. You know, I kind of feel like I've gravitated towards, you know, a lot of practitioners, I think, kind of operate a lot like a traditional medical doctor, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but, you know, they'll have a client come and say, okay, I have a thyroid issue, or I have some blood work here that I want you to take a look at, or maybe I have this deficiency, and I certainly did that early on in my career, where I would try to say, okay, you have this, let's try to do this, and you have this, let's try to do this. But the more that I realized, the missing thing that people, you know, didn't have was just the foundations in place. They didn't know how to eat real food. They didn't know how to sleep properly. They didn't know the importance of getting outdoors and getting sun exposure and meditating and having a practice in the morning. And so I have kind of cultivated my career around teaching people the foundations, and I've kind of moved away from that whole clinical symptoms and trying to, you know, tick for tack and nitpick symptoms and things like that. And I think that's about everything that I want to cover here. I don't know. So let's open it up to questions and see if we have anything else in here that I need to address. Eric Campbell, thank you for asking a question. How might I become involved, and how could I use what you do for a career for myself to sustain a prosperous living, financial rewarding future? I'm not really sure what you're asking there. How might you become involved as far as as a practitioner? I would say sign up with the NTA. The NTA has a couple of different programs, as I understand right now. I went through their NTP program, which was we learned a lot of the core curriculum and educational information, but we also learned how to do the functional evaluation. There's also, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the NTC program, where you just learn the educational piece of it, which is super powerful in and of itself. So that might be a good start. If you'd like, we can get on the phone and I can maybe kind of guide you a little bit further, because I'm not really sure what your question is there. I would say starting out, figuring out, you have to be an example for other people, right? So if I go work with a personal trainer in a gym, and I've seen some personal trainers at some places like Lifetime Fitness and stuff, that I'm like, how in the heck are they a personal trainer? They don't look like a personal trainer, right? So you got to get your health fixed first, or to a large degree, and you got to do some experimentation on yourself first before you can go out and start to market that to other people. And that was a big part of our journey initially, was just figuring stuff out on our own and doing a lot of experimenting, and now we're down at this point. I consider myself a ketogenic expert, a low carb expert, a real food expert. By the way, we don't recommend ketogenic or low carb for everybody, but I mean, it's one of the tools that we use, but you have to, do a lot of things with yourself personally so you can experience those things and then hopefully take that passion and use it with other people. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, great. Can you share, this is from Benet. I hope I say that right. I think that's a beautiful name, girl guy. Let me see. That's a girl. Brene Curtis asks, can you share how much you use the NutriQ and functional eval in your practice? Great question. The NutriQ, we use religiously. We use that symptom questionnaire on everybody that we work with, because I think, for me, I don't use much of the reports that are contained in it anymore. I mostly use it for the graphical representation of symptoms so that we can show progress to clients. So I love the symptom questionnaire. The functional evaluation, absolutely love and adore, but I've kind of moved away from doing so much of work with private clients and done a lot more group work. But every now and then I'll have someone come in and we'll do some functional testing and try to do some supplements. So I would say that the functional eval, if you're taking that part of the program, and the NutriQ are crucial in the beginning, because honestly, working with private clients, there's no way I could have gotten to where I'm doing these groups and group programs without having my experience in working with clients. So my first couple of years working with private clients is where I did most of my learning, and a lot of that learning came from the functional evaluation, connecting with people, getting them to connect with their own bodies, and then showing them progress and figuring out different ways to show them progress. And so I think that those two tools are absolutely crucial in the beginning, and then as you evolve, maybe I'm not sure how that will fit into your practice over the long term. So that's a really, really great question. Yep, you're welcome, man. And let's see what else here. How do I see? Oh, okay, they go from the bottom here. All right, hold on one second. What was your workshop weekend like? And that was from Natalie Jensen. What was the workshop? Oh, workshop weekends are great. I mean, they're fun, and again, I'm not sure what the NTC program is like, but for us, a lot of it was spent doing the functional evaluation and practicing on each other, and it was just great. We've got some great stories, putting nutrients in people's mouth that tasted horrible and poking on them and trying to learn all that anatomy and physiology hands-on. It was great. It was so fun. I mean, I'm telling you, the longer I do this, the more I realize the importance of community and social connection and social interaction. I think a lot of us, because of technology and all this social media stuff, we end up becoming disconnected and we don't realize it. And then you get around people and you cultivate these new friendships, and if you open yourself to that experience, it just becomes the most beautiful thing in the world, So our class, I like to think, is probably one of the greatest classes that's ever been through the NTA, because we had so much fun. It was so great. All right, let's see. So this is from Kelly Mike Hickson. My state, Ohio, last I checked, does not honor a license from the NTA. Would I be limited to online clients only? Wow, that's a great question. You know what? I'm not sure about what I can tell you is the NTA will do everything they can to support you from a legal standpoint. So here in Las Vegas, I don't I'm not recognized like a registered dietitian, but I have my own credentials, you know, and what we're doing is we're empowering people with educational information and recommendations for supplements and things like that. There's a really good resource that the NTA sent me because I went up in competition in one of the casinos here against a wellness coaching organization. I can't remember what the name of them was right now, and they were trying to say some things against, you know, my credentials, and so we had a really good wording for that. I think you need to check with the NTA for an official answer on that, but in my instincts and gut opinion there, I think that you'd be fine working with people. You just have to be really careful about how you communicate what you do. You know, definitely not saying anything like treating or diagnosing, you know, that you're educating and empowering and things like that. My bio is worded in a way that the NTA kind of helped me to word it so that it was a little bit more safe. So that's a really, really good question. And I'm going to go back through all these and try to do like a post that summarizes each of these points, and maybe I'll get in contact with the NTA and try to help you out with that. All right. Let's see. All right, what else we got here in my state? How does NTA, from Michael Merrill, how does NTA address systemic Candida and mold issues? Well, you know, with the functional evaluation, well, even with just the symptom questionnaire, they give you supplemental recommendations for those different things. Again, like I've kind of veered away from the specific condition, treating or working with specific conditions. And so there's a ton of supplements through Biotics and whatever supplements they may recommend right now that you can use to help you with that. And then I can't remember if they cover a lot of, they do have a lot of protocols that address, you know, different things like dysbiosis and Candida that come with the NTA software and stuff. So. Okay, so Natalie Jensen, what were my instructors like? I loved my instructors. They were great. They were amazing. Obviously, they had a lot of experience, and they had already done a lot of the things that they were teaching to us, and had a lot of experience with the functional evaluations. They were super personable. I kind of feel like, you know, just like when I went through the military, my drill sergeants had walked the walk, and so you know, they talked the talk, and so that's what I felt about my instructors. They were really well chosen and very educated, very professional. You know, I thought it was really great. I had a really good experience with them. Lisa Sabins asks, what's your most popular topics during your speaking engagements? That's a really good question. I come up with my own topics, but I try to base that on what I know is kind of needed out there. If I'm working in a corporate situation, or you know, if it's a group event, obviously I'd go to whoever was in charge there and ask them what do they feel like would be the most beneficial things to address. But then of course I have the things that I like to cover, you know, and what I cover is my foundations. I cover real food, essential oils, functional fitness, setting circadian rhythms, grounding and being outdoors, meditation and mindfulness, and cultivating community. But then I've got a presentation on just about every topic you could possibly think of. You know, obviously when you go through cold and flu season, a talk on immunity, immune system, and digestion and colds and flus is a really good idea. When you get closer to spring and summer, especially here in the Vegas heat, doing something around hydration and athletic performance and considerations and things like that would be a good idea. I have a really, really strong emphasis on autoimmune, and I'm really comfortable working with autoimmune clients, so I like to do little presentations that are general with specific conditions, just to give people ideas that there's other options out there besides just going the medical route, although some people still like to do that. So Dolly Nugent asks, what is the difference between the NTP and the NTC program? As I understand, the NTP program, you learn the functional hands-on evaluation, and the NTC program is without that hands-on functional evaluation. Both of them would give you a really, really solid foundation from which to work with clients. It's just with the NTP program and the functional evaluation, you have this hands-on exam that you can actually functionally test people. So the way it works is you kind of tap into the body's innate intelligence, and you're able to point using poking on different neurovascular areas and lymphatic areas to try to get a response from the body. And when you put nutrients in the mouth, the body can actually tell you if those nutrients are something that it resonates with or not. So it's just an added tool that you can use, and I think some people resonate with it and some people don't. Let's see here. You guys check out. That's great. Thank you so much, Rosemary, for sharing that from the Facebook event page. Laura McQueen asks, I'd like to know. Sorry, The thing keeps shifting on me. I'd like to know what supplements you personally or have suggested to clients for improved athletic performance as well as athletic recovery. Also, which essential oils do you like for athletic recovery? Oh, that's a great question. So I'm a foundations kind of guy. You know, when I started out, I did a lot of, I hope that wind's not blowing into the mic too much. I did a lot of supplement experimentation, you know, and of course I'm always out there learning and reading books and listening to podcasts and things, so I'm always experimenting with this kind of stuff. But you know, so in the beginning I did a lot of supplementation experimentation. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. And then that's okay. I'll get it. And then so as I progress, what I found is nothing can replace a nutrient-dense diet. I mean, you know, and then of course incorporating sleep and everything else. You get all that stuff, you know, under control. Supplementation isn't as necessary. There's only a couple things that I recommend everyone take, and we recommend them either getting them from foods or, you know, you have to supplement if you don't. So we advocate balance, you know, so I'm all about meats and fats and plant matter and safe starches and incorporating all that stuff together. I think if you don't eat cheese on a regular basis or fermented dairy products, then you need to take a K2 D3 type supplement. I love Thorne's product. They have a K2 D3 combo supplement, some drops. I consume about a half a quart to a quart of bone stock every day, and I usually put a scoop of collagen powder in that. And so definitely if you're not consuming bone stock on a regular basis, I'd say collagen powder would be great. Not to be mistaken for, you know, protein powders, because I'm not big into protein powders at all. We don't advocate them at all. And then I'd always recommend something to support your anti-inflammatory pathways. So I'm big into fermented cod liver oil. I did the green pastures thing for a while. Now I'm using that new Rosita version, which is great. So fermented cod liver oil, a little bit different from fish oils because it's kind of it's fermented liver oil, so it's not just EPA and DHA. You're actually getting high levels of some fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin A and vitamin D and some other things that are really beneficial in there. If you're not eating seafood on a regular basis, I'd consider something that gives you some iodine. And then I usually recommend most people supplement with magnesium, and of course you can do some functional testing or some other testing to figure that out. But and then maybe a low dose multi. I like Biotics Bio Multi Plus, but then if you do doTERRA, I love their Vitality Pack, and we cycle on and off of that for the most part. So you know, a lot of those things we try to get from real food, but if you're not getting it from real food and you're not getting that balance, then I'd recommend considering some supplementation like that. And then to answer your question on the athletic performance thing, same thing. You know, athletes just need the same things. They definitely need the anti-inflammation stuff. So definitely some fermented cod liver oil. I think they definitely benefit from bone stock and collagen for the joints and tissue repair and tendons and ligaments. From an essential oil standpoint, of course, we use Deep Blue like it's going out of style. And then I like all the emotional aromatherapy stuff, and it just depends on what my mood is at the time. So sometimes I'll use Breathe to open up my air passageways. Sometimes I'll use things like Citrus Bliss or my favorite's Balance and Frankincense. I mean, those are my all-time go-tos, but I think there's just a lot of room for experimentation there. Some people just feel better and feel different on different oils, and so you have to experiment with that for sure. But from a supplement standpoint, definitely something to support anti-inflammation and then the joints and collagen type stuff. All right, give me a second just to read this here from the Facebook page. Tijerina asks, hey Paul, what is the most challenge you face day to day working in your field? Shoot, I don't have any challenges. I'm telling you, like, I'm loving life. There is no challenge. There is no failure. There's only feedback. You know what you mean? Maybe a better question for that would be, what are my greatest learning experiences on a daily basis? And I'll tell you what those are. They're my most difficult clients and most difficult people that go through the progressions, because that's where you really learn. You know, obviously a lot of what we teach is going against conventional wisdom's view of what we need to do to be healthy. So, I mean, even though we have all this awareness of, you know, healthy fats and butter not being as bad for you and Dr. Hyman and all this other stuff, like the majority of people out there are still completely clueless. So I think one of the difficult things is overcoming this mentality, you know, that people have been brainwashed with for most of their lives. I still have to deal with the saturated fat and cholesterol issue. By the way, I feel like I'm a relative cholesterol, you know, expert, but red meat and meat in general, because we promote meat eating, is something that we have to overcome. What else? Biggest challenges that I face today? I don't know. I'm just loving every bit of it. So, difficult question to ask. So, let's see here. Jonah Lynn asks, how is the workload if you're working full-time, book reports, essays, reading projects, etc.? I can't really remember, but I do remember that it was kind of geared for people that have a life going on, so it was a lot of reading for sure, but it's necessary reading, and if I'm not mistaken, if you dedicated 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe 2 hours a day or something like that, you'd be super solid. And obviously you have periods of time where you have more time to catch up on that kind of stuff. So okay, so Nellie Savage, oh my god, I love that last name, Savage. Hi Paul, just joined. Is the NT course recognized by insurers in Australia? Are graduates able to practice as nutritionists? My understanding is the minimum standard here is so that's not an area of my expertise. I don't know that I'd be able to answer that necessarily. Yeah, that's something that we'll have to ask the NTA or something. All right. Next question. What podcast are you currently listening to right now? Shoot, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm subscribed to a million of them. It just depends on which ones I want to go through. I'm at this point where I've learned so much information. I've done so much reading. I continue to do so much reading. The majority of what I hear, or a lot of what I hear, is just confirmation of what I already know. So I'm really picky about the podcasts that I listen to now. I love the Tim Ferriss show, even though that usually doesn't have anything to do with holistic health. And then, of course, Bulletproof Radio is great. I kind of ventured away from the Paleo Solution podcast by Rob Wolf. Probably need to get back into that. Anytime Chris Kresser puts anything out, I love Chris Kresser's stuff. What else? Can't think off the top of my head. What are my favorite podcasts? Primal Blueprint Radio is great. I love how short they are and concise. I think you just need to go into the health and nutrition area and kind of search around and poke around and experiment with different things, because, it's really funny because a lot of these, hot shot podcasts, they all interview the same people, so they all get bounced around all these different podcasts. So I think that's a good starting place for you, though. Top 3 books after NTA graduation. Oh my god, that's so hard because I read so much. I love Nora Gagalis' Primal Body, Primal Mind. I usually recommend that to just about everyone. Of course, Nourishing Traditions is foundational. The first 63 pages is great, and all the different recipes and things they have in there. Paul Chek's Eat, Move, and Be Healthy is really foundational and great. It covers a lot of the foundations that we try to address when we work with people. Keto Clarity by Jimmy Moore, in his most recent book on the Complete Guide to Fasting, is really, really great. I have a really strong place in my heart for cancer and alternative cancer therapies, and I know a lot of you have experienced that with yourself or family members. And so, Ketogenic Diet for Cancer, or something like that. I can't remember what the name of it is. That was a really, really good book that I read here recently. I don't know. I have a recommended reading list that I give some of my clients and my coach that I'm working with here. So I'll make a list of those things too, and I'll put it in some kind of a follow-up post or something like that. I worked full-time. All right, hold on. Just reading some more questions here. Technology regulations. I know we were nationally recognized. There's no feedback. Yeah, that's so great. Thank you so much, Eric. Paul, we are still getting a crush on you right now. The team wants to know. Wait, shoot, I missed that. We are getting a crush on you right now. The team wants to know if you're coming to the conference. Oh, man, you know what? I was asked to be on a panel at the conference, and I was so freaking excited about that. And then I guess they asked other people to be on the panel, and I didn't get chosen. I was heartbroken over that. So I was definitely going to come if I was going to be on that panel. And I don't know. I'm going to try to make it because I need to get out. It just depends on if I have progression dates or anything factored into that. But you know what? For you, Eric, so I can meet you, I'm going to try to make a point to do that. Let's see here. All right, let's see what else we got. Sorry. If you're interested in receiving more information, Eric, then I'm going to send out, like I said, I'm going to post a link, and that link you can download my Tapping into the Workplace video and my accompanying PDF document. And if you subscribe to my blog, like, we're putting out videos and content on a daily basis. For those of you that are interested in becoming practitioners, it might give you some ideas for some content, or just to see what someone else out there is doing. Let's see here. Rosemary, Kimball, check out Nutritional Theory. Thank you. Okay, I think that's about every question. There's one other thing that I did want to cover because it was brought up in the questions. Sorry, bud. And so they asked, what do we have in the works right now? Well, I'll tell you what, anything is possible. You know, when you get your own health figured out, anything is possible, because everything about you changes, especially like the mental clarity and emotional stability stuff. So I'm at this point now, you know, we've got this program called the SuperHuman Transformation. It's a 10-week progression. I'll give you some information on it in my post follow-up. And it's awesome. We've worked with over 1,000 people here locally, and we have a great community. I just freaking adore my people so much. And so we've got another progression kicking off in February. After that progression, we have advanced programs that we offer. So we have what we call an Atavist Purist program, which is a purist real food, something that takes, you know, your real food eating to another level. We got a detox program. We got a fat loss program. So those are all really exciting. It's like a progression that we recommend all our people go through. I just hired and have been working with, I don't want to say hired, that sounds, she's so close to me, you know, but I just hired my first Atavist Nutrition and Life Coach, and we're calling our certification that we're going to offer at some point, you know, the Atavist Nutrition and Life Coach, and her name's Nicole McIntosh, and she's just phenomenal, amazing. So it's really exciting to know that I'm actually getting someone else to do what I'm doing and help me do what I'm doing and help spread the message and help me do meetings and things like that. And she's just been a dream, and she's been wonderful. What else we have coming up? Oh, I just got interviewed today. So there's a spinoff from The Bachelor. Couple of girls that were on The Bachelor that didn't make it or something. There's some twins. They're doing a spin-off reality show, and they need a nutrition and life coach to come in and work with these girls on camera. And I got interviewed for that today, so maybe you're going to see me on some kind of a freaking reality show or something like that. So I think that's about all the questions that we have. You know, I don't know. Thank you so much for this experience. Like I said, I'm loving life, and I'm so thankful that that I did the NTA program, and I'm so thankful that they reached out and asked me to do this NTA live conference, because any chance that I can get in front of people and help to empower others. You know, I did a motivational thing the other day. We're always doing like these little opening statements every day in our Facebook group to try to get people excited and motivated. And one of them was reflections on 2016. And one of my top points was, you know, you got to take a chance. You got to go for it. And that applies to everything. You got to go for love. You know, like you got to, you know, if you've been jaded, go for love again, because that's what life is all about. You got to, you know, whatever that project is or that thing is that you want to do, if you don't do it, you're never going to know what it was like or what the outcome would have been. But if you at least go for it, who knows if you're going to be successful at it or not? It doesn't matter, because the benefit of it is the journey. So whatever it is that you're thinking about doing right now, go for it. If you're thinking about becoming a practitioner and fixing your own health and working with other people, why not? Go for it. You can always do this on the side and learn it in addition to other things, and who knows, you just may end up changing somebody's life. I can tell you some of the best rewards that we get, because we genuinely care about people. Like, we know people are out there suffering, and we know that people have the wrong information, and everyone has the right intention to do the right thing. They just don't know what the heck to do. And it's just so gratifying to have someone, to see someone transform, and to have someone come to you and say that you changed their life, you know. And that's what we want. We want to empower other people. So I don't know if you answered, but the functional testing, but would you learn how to do your own function? All right, so I think that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this live event, and that's it. Love you guys. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to continue to comment, and I'll answer, and I'll do a follow-up post with a summary of everything that we talked about today, okay? Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.